It's the fifth and longest stage of the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey, the 61st edition of this venerable stage race, racing up and down the Aegean and Mediterranean coast. A little bit of inland racing as well. Got a couple of climbs in prospect on this fifth stage. Plenty of elevation for the riders to contend with. Plenty of beautiful sights and scenes out on the coast of Turkey as well, as we make our way from the historic site of Patara to Kemer. Along the way, two classified climbs, both at second category status. Potentially going to be okay for the sprinters. Well, we'll see. A delicious temptation as well for the breakaway group. I think there's going to be quite the contest through the day to see who can possibly prevail at the end of 180 and a bit kilometres of tough UCI international bike racing in the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey. We've got a Treasures of Turkey sprint along the way as well. Before that, the intermediate sprint offering bonus seconds. That final K2 assault coming and reached within 38 kilometres of the finish line. Long route down to a conclusion in Kemer. That's the profile. A demanding one for the sprinters. Ought to be relatively straightforward for the general classification contenders. Out of Patara, ancient city. What a sensational backdrop to start an international bike race. Jersey classification holders, as they were, with Ivan Ramiro Sosa in the overall leader's turquoise jersey. Stanislav Anielkowski feeling pretty good about things after his stage 4 success. Breakthrough success for the Polish rider. First win in 3.5 years. Still in that Treasures of Turkey jersey, Mustafa Tarakci from the Konya Büyükşehir squad. And an unusual but absolutely beautiful place to present the green jersey of Tom Krabbe. 2 stage wins already this week. All smiles for the Flanders Baloise man. Can he survive the climbs today? We'd certainly expect that Sebastian Berwick can. He's wearing that red climbers leaders jersey. Second overall, second in that category as well to this man, the overall race leader. All smiles for the 28-year-old Colombian with his Equipo Cairn Pharma squad. Another day representing and looking after that 13-second advantage with that turquoise leaders jersey. The riders at the start line in Patara, 153 riders signing on for duty, a couple of non-finishers on stage 4, so the field dwindling slightly, but still the vast bulk of the 23-team lineup in this year's Tour of Turkey is still involved. Out of Patara and through the short neutralised section, the flag coming in eventually to send the riders on their way. And from one of the oldest seats of Parliament, the riders sent on into battle. Well, from the beginning, immediate action to try and infiltrate an early move. A look at the profile from many of the teams, and I think quite a few riders will have earmarked this stage as a potential to try and achieve some success from that early breakaway. There's the beautiful Kaputaş beach, which we visited on our way to the finish line yesterday, ahead of this fifth stage. Stopped for a little paddle, a couple of photographs. Breaking the journey up nicely. No such opportunity for these riders. No breaks for them. Indeed, no breakaway. Worth the mention for the first hour and a bit of racing. The peloton raced along well ahead of the anticipated fast pace of the day. Jon Iguera taking the top points at the conclusion of the first King of the Mountains climb of the day. 5 points gained ahead of Sergio Samitier from Team Cofidis. Jeffrey Bouchard from Total Energy also involved in the early skirmishing. Fausto Masnada trying to relive old glories for the MBH Bank squad. And eventually an early group starting to open up a little bit of an advantage. Crowds out in huge numbers once again here in Turkey, and everybody waving the national flags with pride. Plenty of local representation in the event, but not too much local representation in the 10-rider group, finally establishing itself up front. Maximum lead of over 2 minutes. Pared down under the sustained assault from the peloton behind. 2 riders from the Euskaltel Ascadi squad, Zabia Isa and Iker Mintegi, the best placed rider in the early move. 3 minutes and 18 seconds down on general classification. And Imogen, none of the 10 riders really huge threat to the overall race leadership of Ivan Sosa.
Yeah, and working together really well to stay ahead of the race. But none of them, like you said, going to put any threat to Ivan Sosa and the Equipo Kern Pharma team.
Yeah, they'll feel pretty good about things. Back in the main peloton behind. Eventually, a breakaway manages to snap the elastic, but it just has the perfect combination. Having said that, the main peloton in pursuit, and huge push into the second climb of the day. Just inside 50 to go. A long climb, demanding climb, but this is clearly a push on in that peloton to make it as uncomfortable as possible for as many people as possible.
Yeah, and you can see here on the front that we've got some of the MBH Bank team working together to really try and pull that break back. They've got it under a minute and a half now, and the Equipo Kern Pharma team are there as well on the front, just trying to control that pace and make sure that their GC leader, Ivan Sosa, is comfortable and is just conserving his energy ahead of tomorrow's Queen stage.
Well, everyone's lined out, so not too much energy being conserved at the moment, but all things are relative, aren't they? And this second climb with the urgent entreaties from the cars behind to the riders in this group as they continue to rotate through. Jonas Rickard, representative of the Alpecin Premier Tech squad on the front, Dossard number 13 in the blue colours of Alpecin Premier Tech. Also here for the Total Energy squad, well, that's Fabien Dubé. Clearly Total Energy involved in a lot of the early attacking at the outset of hostilities, and clearly they have a plan to ensure that they're present. They've got multiple representation in that top 10, of course, with Nicolas Brouillard sitting 3rd overall and Jordan Gigant 9th. As we get a look at the main peloton team, Polti Visip Malta, what's their agenda for this particular day?
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how different teams are going to attack it, because we've got this climb coming up, you know, that they're onto now, and it doesn't look like it could do that much damage. It may be a big ring climb for a lot of riders, but actually it seems that the pace is going to be set kind of high on it, because they definitely want to bring this breakaway back.
Levgonov also in the move for the Astana squad. We just caught sight of him briefly. Jonas Rickard setting a demanding tempo. Dubé in his wheel. As I mentioned, the 2 riders from the Euskaltel squad in those orange colours, Isasa and Mintege. Owen Helene for the Unibet Rose Rockets is in the middle of the group at the moment. Just one rider for Team Picnic Post NL, that's Timo de Jong, the Dutchman, 27-year-old Dutchman. Normally goes well on flatter terrain. He's in this move, going well at the moment. Nicolas de Montmarché as well, the Frenchman with the Cofidis team, is safely nestling in the group. For Caja Rural, they've got Javier Ibanez.
Yeah, and back the road, we've got some teams who will be trying to set this up for their sprinters, so that's why they're pulling so hard to bring this back. It's down to 1 minute and 10 seconds now, but actually the breakaway seems to be working really well together, and they've got some real horsepower in there.
Scotland's Mark Stewart as well, also in that move for the Modern Adventure Pro Cycling team, as we get a sight of the group behind. And Astana squad putting a lot of riders on or near the front. I wonder what their plan is today. Mullah Brahan is close to the front for them. He's their best placed rider on general classification. Well, actually, he's not quite the best placed rider. He's Nikola Vinokourov, one of 3 riders from the Astana squad in the top 10 overall. Mullah Brahan gained a few bonus seconds in the intermediate sprint a little earlier on. Ivan Sosa safely close to the front. Davide Ballerini is going well as this climb starts to take its toll on a few riders in that group, having a little look across to see what sort of effort is making. And, well, he's asking Equipo Kern Pharma to set the tempo, and he's got a rider in the break, so maybe thinking, well, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of thing when you get to the front of the group and you're setting this pace that maybe he's starting to find a bit tough. He's looking for cooperation from other teams, and it looks like it's not really coming.
For all that, the gap has dwindled, but the huge chunk that they took out of the advantage of this breakaway group, it was what, about a half a minute in the space of just a few kilometers on the approach to that climb. That has that flow has been stemmed somewhat as we get another look at one of these impossibly beautiful Lycian ports and villages that have sprawled and mushroomed into major tourist destinations. Every piece of rock outcrop seemingly an opportunity for development. Now, speaking of development, front of the peloton looks like it's getting very busy indeed. Ricard still setting steady tempo on the front of this breakaway group, but the peloton are lurking, and it looks as if they're coming across to them pretty soon.
Yeah, and Total Energy are just absolutely lighting it up. They've got someone from Cairo Rural right in their wheel, but they are really putting in an effort to make this climb as hard as possible, maybe to shell out some of the sprinters on this climb and to just keep it a tough pace. You can see the XCS Astana, Henok Mulbrahan there in third wheel, and he's really grimacing to stay with this Total Energy and Cairo Rural rider.
Yeah, counter-attack here from the peloton. Is it perhaps Jagat who's decided to launch? Interesting move, really. They have, of course, Fabien Dubé in the break, but the break looks like it's on borrowed time. Meanwhile, Mulbrahan and Vinokurov trying to make their way across in the company of the aforementioned Jordan Jagat. So change in personnel in prospect now. Dubé has a little look over his shoulder, and what does he find out? Well, he sees a teammate about to arrive, so he's not going to contribute to the pace of that break. He's just going to wait a moment, and then this will be a useful ally for the fast arriving Jordan Jagat. I think it's Jagat at any rate, the man who was 10th in the Tour de France in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strength in numbers once he gets across to that front group, and it looks like it's going to happen very imminently. And I think they're going to inject a bit of pace into it as well.
Ricard toiling on the front. On Khalain just waiting and looking anxious about the arrival. Look at this steam train up on the outside. Jagat has Dubé. Dubé actually is just going to try and assist this one. Dubé just took a moment. I'll let go to the front. The Total Energy duo putting it up to them as this peloton also starting to dwindle in numbers. Quite the fracture. And still 1,400 meters of this climb remaining.
Yeah, it's completely splitting apart in the peloton. I think a lot of sprinters are going to have been shelled already, and it's going to be a real race of attrition coming to the top of this climb. Luckily, they do have a long downhill afterwards, so it does give a chance for riders who have been dropped to come back. But I think the pace that's being set now is going to do some real damage to that top end power.
A lot of sprinters are going to be feeling this one for sure. We haven't seen too much sight nor sound indeed of late of the green jersey of Tom Krabbe. Now, Anielkowski as well, Stanislav Anielkowski, no sign of him so far in this group, or lately at any rate, as Jagat and Dubé put a little daylight between themselves and the other riders from the breakaway. Frustrating a little bit, you might say, for Timo de Jong. Finds himself in no man's land in between.
Yeah, it could be a dangerous duo to let get away, these two Total Energy riders up the front, and if they can work together and continue making this gap bigger, they could be a really dangerous duo to let away.
Inside 40 to go, and inside about a kilometre from the top of this climb, which is the final climb of the day, there is a long ramp down, a short little drag, but not a particularly long one, and then that takes them down to a further descent down to within 16 kilometres of the finish line. That's a way to go. Now look at this. This is the overall race leader. Ivan Sosa's in a bit of problem here. He's got well, a bit of daylight to cover. He's got a teammate coming back to him. That's Ibon Ruiz. Ruiz has a little look over his shoulder, dutiful and attentive, but this is a surprising situation developing here for Ivan Sosa. Moments in attention, or the leg's not quite there today.
Yeah, it's hard to know what could have happened here. I'd say maybe being a bit further back in the peloton didn't help matters, but it might also just be the toll of 5 days of stage racing catching up to him, and ahead of tomorrow's Queen Stage, it's the last thing he'll want. Yeah,
a lot of pressure on Ivan Sosa with the turquoise jersey of overall race leadership on his shoulders, but he's trying to recover here as they roll around a couple of dropped riders. Still a bit of daylight between themselves and the rest of this group. This group fracturing on the climb. Contrasting gears, isn't it? As Ivan Sosa on the small ring. It's a bigger gear being churned by his teammate Ibon Ruiz. Meanwhile, look at that crocodile formation. Up to the top of this climb, the distribution of points will be made. Looks as if potentially, indeed it is, Yannick Gear, I think, has scooped that one again. So useful haul of points for him today. Claimed top points at both climbs. Has now moved into the top 3 or 4 riders in that King of the Mountains classification. But I think he's thinking perhaps more about trying to infiltrate something a little bit special.
Yeah, absolutely. He's probably seeing how well Jordan Jagat is pushing and thinking, let me sit on his wheel and see what kind of result I can get out of a day like today, especially seeing the distance that they're putting between the peloton and Ivan Sosa. They're obviously riding at a super hard pace.
Sosa's in trouble. Sosa is in trouble here. He's out the back again, and he hasn't quite managed to put that one together. Up and over the top of that climb. Still Ruiz is continuing to encourage his race-leading teammate to hang on in there, and plenty of time to fix this one. Over the top of the climb, and there's a long, long way to go from here. But the riders on the front, particularly Total Energy, sitting third overall, remember, with Brouillard, and an opportunity perhaps to really deal a hammer blow. Now it's not a completely catastrophic situation here for Ivan Sosa, but nonetheless this is sort of danger signals really for his general classification ambitions.
Yeah, and a team like Carrera, who are pulling on the front here, will love to hear that Ivan Sosa is in a bit of difficulty. It will give them a chance to claw back the 13 seconds that Seb Berwick is down in second place on GC. So they'll be doing their best to make sure that they keep pushing, keep the pace really high in the peloton.
Second place, Sebastian Berwick's in the red jersey, the Red Mountains jersey. He's put 2 teammates on the front. He's sitting about 10th wheel in that group and sitting pretty at the moment. Meanwhile, Ivan Sosa still not quite on. It's tantalizingly close, and it looks as if Ruiz is going to close the gap here. Should be okay. A couple of riders maybe to assist. Looks a bit like Samitia, the Cofidis rider, has rolled through to assist. Also willing to contribute. I think that could have been Mark Stewart, who was in the early break. Now finds himself off the back, and now finds himself how quickly things can change on this mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having a moment of weakness like maybe what Ivan Sosa had there, it can really change the whole race for you. And he might have just been behind a wheel that left a gap, and all of a sudden you're left chasing for 5-10 minutes, and it will be energy he really would have wanted to save for tomorrow.
Yeah, Sosa he's on the rivet, isn't he? He's absolutely pell-mell to stay in the wheel of Mark Stewart, who managed to grab a bag at the feed zone close to the top of the hill. Meanwhile, piling on the coal in the front is the Astana squad. They clearly have big ambitions today and a big agenda and multiple representation in this somewhat thinned out peloton. The peloton nothing like as big as it was at the outset of today's race, and well, it's the Astana squad that believe that they can deliver something special.
Yeah, Astana are really pulling on the front here, and they've got that peloton really pulled out in a line, and you'd think that they're probably working for their sprinter Davide Ballerini, who I'm assuming might have made it over that couple of climbs today with them.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he, on the climb, just looking for others to contribute to the pacemaking, but safely in there, we believe, at the moment, is Davide Ballerini, looking for another top 10 finish, maybe a little bit more than that for the much travelled Italian all-rounder. Now, the Team Picnic Post NL inside 10 kilometres of the day remaining. And they've got Casper van Uden, number 26, where he needs to be. Number 2 is Davide Ballerini. The Astana man has certainly survived this group, and the Astana squad have plenty of reason to invest in his potential to convert for a glorious victory for the Astana team today. Lev Gonov just in front of him, behind GC rider Muller Brahan.
Yeah, and it would have been big work on behalf of the Picnic Post NL team and the XCS Astana team to get their sprinters over those climbs and to make sure that they were coming into the sprint of today feeling comfortable. So really great teamwork there from both teams.
Casper van Uden looking for his and indeed his team's first victory of the year. Down towards the concluding moments, inside 3 kilometres remaining. And a big charge on the front for the MBH squad. They've got Marcin Bushinsky sitting in the line at the moment. Stefano Aldani is freelancing by the looks of things for the Cajarural squad. The Team Picnic Post NL team have no less than 4 riders to assist Casper van Uden in his bid for glory. This hairpin bend is the final bend in the road, the final impediment to the straight line progress of the riders to the finish line today.
Yeah, and that would have been a really big fight for position coming into that 180 bend in the road. And you can see that the MBH Bank team took it really well. They're out there leading the peloton with XCS Astana following close behind, and the whole Picnic Post NL team really lined out behind that.
Modern Adventure Pro Cycling also trying to move up. We see representation from the Burgersport Pellet BH team. They've got Cesar Macias where he needs to be, at least where he hopes he needs to be at any rate. Peñalver perhaps for Team Polti Visit Malta, the left-hand side of picture in those red shorts, white jerseys, green sleeves. The Astana team now starting to assemble. Ballerini in position. And, well, is he in position? Is he where he needs to be at the moment? He's on his own. He's got Mullerbrand just behind him. And as we race under the kite into the final 1,000 metres, Team Picnic Post NL will have the honours of leading this one out. They've still got 3 riders in front of Casper van Uden, looking good. Ballerini has got the wheel of the Dutchman, and Ballerini looking to time his run to absolute perfection. Bardiani as well. What chance have they got as they put Svetkov into prime position now, waiting to launch? 500 to go, and Ballerini finds himself a little bit squeezed out of it, so it's Casper van Uden third in line. Marcin Bushinsky sitting on his wheel. Svetkov is waiting to launch as well as the Astana team looking to put their lead outs into position on the right hand side of the road. Here comes Ballerini up on the rails on the left hand side. Van Uden is on the tail of a teammate and about to come off his wheel, so it's one-on-one for stage honours here as Ballerini gets just over a bike length advantage on the Team Picnic Post NL man. Bushinsky in position as well. It's Ballerini running out of gas here. Here comes Casper van Uden through to the line for the Team Picnic Post NL squad. Bushinsky off his wheel, but he's not going to get there. It's Casper van Uden that's going to get the victory, and see what that means to him. It's a sensational success on stage 5 for the Team Picnic Post NL squad. First victory of the season for Casper van Uden, and that is a source of ecstasy and relief in equal measure for the Team Picnic Post NL team as Casper van Uden delivers a slam dunk victory. It's more clenched fist celebration as he arrives at his team helper, and well, that's a massive result for Casper van Uden, and a huge result for the Team Picnic Post NL team after a really, really great lead out.
Yeah, absolutely. They worked together so well. You could see it from about 2-3k out, how they all found each other and just moved up that peloton in a real solid line. And to be able to deliver and give back to his teammates at the end of the day and to all of the staff, I'm sure that's exactly what it's all about for him.
Yeah, they'll be partying tonight. I think the disco lights are going to be on in the van and back to the hotel after that one.
Yeah, and a great prep as well ahead of the Giro coming up. So you can see it here, how it all transpired.
Ballerini goes for a long one. Looked to catch out the Team Picnic Post NLs just for a moment, but in effect provided a nice lead out.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way that Casper van Uden saw that happening, he just jumped onto Ballerini's wheel and then got in the slipstream and used it to his advantage to take this incredible win.
Bushinsky gets up and over Ballerini, who's also swamped by others in the dash to the line. Svetkov, I think, potentially getting up for the final podium position, but no doubt whatsoever that Casper van Uden would claim success in the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey, stage 5. A delight in Khmer for the Dutch registered team with their Dutch sprinter. And as you say, off to first Grand Tour of the season in Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, so taking the win the week before will have just given him the confidence boost that every sprinter needs and wants ahead of such a big...
gets the victory ahead of Marcin Bushinsky. He was absolutely delighted about that one.
Yeah, I feel really happy. I think the first few days were a bit of a struggle. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. I was maybe too scared in the first few stages in the beginning. I had a lot of pressures already this year, so I had to find my feet again a little bit. But no, the boys, they kept believing in me, the team kept believing in me, and no, I showed them again that I can do it. So it's nice to reward all their confidence in me and all their hard work.
You had a lot of hiccups before your Giro d'Italia win last year. Again, since, does it make the win sweeter?
Yeah, I think it just feels really good. Just to be able to give back, that's what I like most. Give back to the boys for all the hard work, give back to the staff for all the hard work, everyone at the races, and also back at the HQ. I think it's really nice to reward them for all the hard work and also reward myself for the hard work.
Well, his reward given in various different forms. Holiday to Turkey is in prospect for the top 3 finishers. Casper van Uden, though, happiest of all. General classification, no change after that little scare for Ivan Ramiro Sosa. He carries a 13-second advantage into the Stage 6 summit finish. Big GC appointment coming up tomorrow. Briar still in good shape as well. Fancello and the rest. Another turquoise jersey for Ivan Sosis. He looks forward to Stage 6 of the Presidential Cycling Tour of Turkey from Antalya to Feshlikan.
We see that he's running with this lovely turquoise jersey, leader of the general classification.